This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Baruch haba everyone. We continue in Sefer Devorah. We're in the 9th parak. How a person could accustom themselves in the midah of Malchus. The first one was a person should not be arrogant, but rather should make himself like a poor man and position himself before HaKadosh Baruch Hu like a dal who is being shoyel u'mischanein. And especially in the times at the time of tefillah, the Torah Devorah says it is a segula nifla, a wondrous segula to be to reckon oneself like an ani, ve'evyoin, like David HaMelech says in Tehillim, ki yachid va'ani ani. Yesterday we spoke about the maila of being goyla mimakom lamakom l'shem shamayim, and by doing so one becomes a merkava to the Shechina, which is in Galus. And one should say, if I go into Galus, I have all my utensils with me. What about the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where the Shechina is in Galus, and the Shechina does not have her kalim with her? She's missing her kalim because of the Galus. And therefore one should go into Galus, so to speak, without one's appurtenances, and humble oneself and attach oneself to Torah, and then the Shechina will be with them. And one should sort of expel oneself and be nisgaresh from his menucha. So, for example, let's say it's a Pesach time, and your wife says, "Get out of the kitchen. Why are you in the kitchen? Go eat downstairs in the boiler room." So you should have in mind, I am now being mekayim, the inyan of going into galus, and whenever somebody has to be or go somewhere that they would prefer not to, so think of it that that is the way you're yotzei galus. Okay, so now we continue. Oid mimidos hamalchus. Furthermore, one of the midos of Malchus is midah chashuva ma'od, a very important midah. Shar ha'avodah kula, which is the gateway of all service of Hashem. And the reason why this is called the gateway is because Chazal have already termed Yiras Shamayim as the gateway to the avodah. V'hi liyiras Hashem hanichbad v'anoir, and that is to fear God, the honorable and awesome God. V'hinei hayira misukenes ma'od. Behold, fear is very dangerous. And the reason why having yira is very dangerous, lipagim ulikanes ba hachitzainim, because it could cause a blemish, and it could cause entrance to the external forces. What does that mean? Sometimes by having superficial yira, it gives entrance to the outer forces. What does that mean? If chas v'shalom, a person is afraid of afflictions, or death, or the purgatory, then one is not afraid of Hashem, because none of these things are Hashem. Hashem is not Yisurim, Hashem is not Misa, Hashem is not Gehenim. These are four outside forces that Hashem may allow to come. Harezu yiras hachitzonim. This is a fear of outside forces. Shekol pu'ulos elu min hachitzainim. All of these forces come from chitzainim. In other words, the more fear a person has for things that are not Hashem, that Hashem may send, the more credibility you give to them, the more they become reality. So having fear from the punishments that Hashem may allow to be active actually may empower them. Amnam hayira ha'ikris, the main fear is liyira es Hashem, fear God Himself, not what might happen if Hashem sort of withdraws and allows Yisurim or Misor Gehenim. That's not Hashem. That's what may occur if Hashem withdraws Himself, but that's not yira from Hashem. The real fear is to fear Hashem. That is to think about three things. Ha'echad. Number one, lios gedulasoi shel yotzer hakol al kol nimtza. For the greatness of the Creator to be on everything that is found. Varei adam yarei min ha'ari, a person may be scared of a lion, min hadoiv, from a bear, min ha'anas, from a terrorist, min ha'esh, from fire, min ha'mapoilos, from avalanche. These are all things that might scare a person. But these are small messengers. Why would a person be scared of a small messenger? Why wouldn't a person be scared of the great king? And what the awe of Hashem be on his face from his greatness. And a person should say, how can a person sin? How can a despicable person sin to such a great master? But if one, think about it like this, says the Talmud Devorah. How could a person, a despicable person, sin against God? If you anger a bear, the bear will just eat you. So God is more tolerant than a bear. God will have patience, and just because you sin against him and you anger him, he might not eat you. So should that minimize the fear we have of him? In other words, one is scared of a bear because of what the bear will do. So just because the Rebbe has more savlanut, should that minimize the fear that we have from him? The Rebbe could consume the person, but he chooses not to. Because of this, a person should not be afraid of his pachad and gedula. Habez, and the second type of Yirah Shamayim. The first one is to be afraid not of Hashem's messengers, not of Hashem's agents, but of Hashem himself. Ka'asher yedame hashgacha tamid. When a person contemplates Hashem's divine providence, should soife umabit by, that Hashem's providence observes and scrutinizes. V'harei ha'eved yarei mei rabbi tamid. But a servant is always afraid of his master, b'yoisei lefanav, when he's in his master's presence. A servant is always afraid when he's in his master's presence because he knows his master sees and is aware of his actions. So, likewise, we are always in Hashem's presence. But man is always before the Creator. God's eyes are always open on man's ways. Yira v'yivchad, he fears and he trembles. Heich, he should fear and tremble. Heich yirenu mevatel mitzvaysav. How could a person ever allow themselves to be seen abandoning his mitzvahs? So therefore, when a person... So these are two aspects of Yirah Shamayim. Number one, to be afraid not of Hashem's messengers, but of the essence of Hashem himself. And just because Hashem is tolerant and forbearing, that should not minimize the fear we have of him. And the second level of it is when a person realizes that Hashem's divine providence is always gazing at him, his actions, his words, his thoughts. A servant is always afraid in his master's presence, so we should realize we are always in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, Be'ezus Hashem, we will continue tomorrow, and wishing everyone a great day. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.